Let's get into the advisory and discuss how SMSFs will be slugged to help pay for the compensation scheme of last resort. Liam Shorte from SONAS Wealth joining me now. Liam, these SMSFs getting sort of hit here?
Oh, the Treasury has issued a consultation paper on the options, but they're basically saying that everybody in the superannuation space should be contributing towards the compensation scheme of last resort. We've never been happy in the SMSF space because people are taking control of their own money, but we've seen some of the scandals that have gone on. So I think that they're going to look at a few different options. One is where everybody has to pay something, where an SMSF may be able to choose to either opt in or opt out of the scheme. If they opt out, then they will never be able to make a claim against that scheme if something goes wrong. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But again, everything with the government is becoming more user pays. We're seeing the fees for companies, the fees for ATO reviews, everything's going up every year. So yes, there's no free rides anymore.
There isn't a free ride, but you know, we do have this wonderful superannuation system, and as you say, don't lose faith in it.
Yeah, look, because every time there's changes by the government, it rattles people because, it is a scheme where you're putting money away for a long time. But I really want people to understand, for the average Australian, average is anybody who's earning from 45,000, right up to 200 or 200 plus. Superannuation is still going to be the most tax effective place to put money aside for your retirement. And my personal philosophy is get as much in there as you can. And then when you're retired and you know what your situation is, you can take it out if you don't want it in that system, or you want a plan B, you want to have some money outside. But use the system to get your tax deductions. Like if you're on 50,000 a year and you put $1 extra into super through salary sacrifice, you're immediately saving yourself 17 cents in the dollar. If you're on 145 plus, you're saving yourself 24 cents. So in times where everything's volatile, it's great to be getting a guaranteed return like that on your savings dollar.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're looking more broadly as well for some of the financial education, what do you say to those people that are still quite some time away from retirement, maybe under 55?
They really need to start educating themselves on how the money will come in retirement. I'm seeing a lot of cases where people are afraid to retire because they're not sure how the system works. So, from 55 onwards, or even younger, if you want to retire younger, understand that at 60 you can access your super, and how that works as an income stream. So it's basically a tax-free or a tax-exempt bank account as long as you take a minimum pension each year out of it. And people think, oh, well, if I've got 200,000, I take 20,000 a year out, my money will be gone in 10 years. But then you've got to look at that 200,000 will be earning 5 to 10% per year. So in truth, you're probably only taking 10,000 out a year. So your money's going to last at least 20 years. But it's understanding how that works, how the savings outside super, once you stop working, you can earn up to about 33,000 after age 67 without paying any tax. So a combination of tax-free super pension, tax-free income on your savings outside, and then understanding how the age pension will kick in later. And once that does kick in, your money goes down a lot slower. So that 200,000, rather than going down by 10,000 a year, will end up going down by less because the age pension is making up the difference and you're not having to take as much. And finally, the one thing then that people need to understand, that's the money side of it. And then understand how the Commonwealth Seniors Healthcare Card or the Pensioners Concession Card works with your private health insurance to ensure your health in your retirement. So understand it, get educated on it, so you take the scary parts of retiring out of your worries.
Yeah, that's what we're all trying to do, take the scary part out. Now, speaking of scary parts, well, actually, it's probably a positive thing, this new Payday super that's coming in, but it can affect SMSFs too. So what do they need to know, Liam, if you're running your own super fund?
Yeah, so probably the main thing, this Payday super will come in, and it means that your employer will have to pay your super within 7 days of your entitlement to it. So I think it's 7 working days. But it means that your account needs to be prepared for that, because often employers are using ETFs or BPay or systems where it may not automatically be going directly into your account in time, or maybe going through a clearinghouse. Well, that's not going to be allowed anymore. So with an SMSF, you're the one responsible for making sure the money gets into the members' accounts in your SMSF. So you need to ensure that this new term that's come out, new payment system, NPP, make sure that your account is able to accept payments through that system. You may have heard things like OSCO or PayID, a few things like that. That's that system where the money, the minute the payment is made from the payer's bank account, it immediately hits the receiver's bank account. But for SMSFs, you need to go and check with your cash management account provider, whoever that is. Now, I have checked with Macquarie, CBA on their CDIA account, ANZ on their V2 Plus account, which are mostly used for SMSFs. They are all MPP enabled. But what I did get alerted was that some of the older CBA accounts, older NAB accounts, older Westpac and other banks, their older accounts were never set up really for day-to-day banking. They were like a savings account for or a check account for an SMSF. So you may need to upgrade to one of their newer accounts. So please do those checks before the end of June. Make sure that your super fund's ready to accept the money.
Gosh, it all sounds very complicated, Liam. I think it's just easier sometimes to leave the experts to it. I like your question of the week here. So can the ATO forgive a breach of lending money from your SMSF to your family or business? Can they?
The answer is no, but the reason why I brought this one up, Juliet, is it did come up this week because of the rise in fuel costs and everything going through the roof. There will be some temptation for people who have a small business or are personally under pressure with their mortgage to dip into their SMSF bank account to tide them over or whatever, and they think they can just put the money back and pay a little bit of interest. There is no ability for the ATO to accept that excuse or to even forgive that excuse. The law prevents them. They must then enforce the SIS rules, which means that you've breached the superannuation rules and maybe have a financial penalty, re-education, or they may make your fund totally non-compliant. So it's not something to mess around with. If you read out there, you can just go to the ATO and they'll let you go, that they can't do it. They just basically said they cannot do it. It's a breach of the rules. What they can do is if you go to them early and give them the reasons behind what happened, show what you've done to rectify it, they may go easier on the penalties and easier on the other requirements. So please, if you've done something wrong, get in touch with your accountant or your financial advisor and do what they call an early voluntary disclosure to the ATO to get it fixed. But go to them with the solution, not with the fact that you've just taken the money out and you don't know what to do.